Turning 70 is an experience that feels both surreal and profound. One day, you're young, brimming with dreams and energy, and then, seemingly in the blink of an eye, you find yourself reflecting on a life that has spanned decades. The passage of time has a way of sneaking up on you, bringing with it changes you never anticipated. For me, one of the most unexpected shifts has been my growing inclination to avoid people. This wasn't always the case. I used to thrive on connection, surrounding myself with family, friends, and colleagues. I was active in my community, always ready to lend a hand or attend an event. Socializing felt like the core of my existence, a way to give meaning to my days. But over time, something shifted. It wasn't an abrupt change. It crept in quietly, and only now do I realize how common this might be for others in my stage of life. Time has become my most precious commodity. When you reach 70, you see time differently. It no longer feels like an endless stream stretching out before you. Instead, it becomes finite, like a treasure you must guard carefully. In my younger years, I treated time casually, letting it slip through my fingers as though there were always more to come. Hours were spent on trivialities, unnecessary obligations, conversations that lacked depth, and relationships that didn't bring joy. But now, every moment feels sacred, a gift to be cherished. I've come to appreciate the simple joys of life more than ever. It's in the quiet mornings, sipping coffee as the sun rises, or during long walks, feeling the crunch of leaves underfoot. Evenings spent in peaceful solitude, reflecting on the chapters of my life, feel more fulfilling than any crowded party ever could. I've learned it's not the quantity of experiences or connections that fills a life, but their quality. I choose carefully now, valuing meaningful interactions over superficial ones. With age comes a deep understanding of what truly matters. I've stopped feeling guilty about saying no to events or obligations that don't align with my values. I no longer feel the need to justify my preference for solitude. It's not that I don't value relationships. I do, more than ever, but I've become selective. I want my interactions to be genuine, my connections to feel real. My time is too precious to be spent on drama, empty conversations, or people who drain my energy. Part of this change comes from recognizing the natural evolution of relationships. Over the years, some connections strengthen, built on shared memories and mutual understanding, while others fade away. I've learned to accept this as a natural part of life. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and that's okay. The people who remain in your life at this stage are often the ones who truly matter, and I hold those relationships close. In my younger days, I worked hard to maintain a wide circle of friends and acquaintances. I wanted to be everything to everyone, to never let anyone down. But I've realized how exhausting that can be, especially when the effort isn't reciprocated. Life has a way of pruning your social tree, leaving only the most resilient branches. I no longer take it personally when relationships fade. People grow, change, and move in different directions. It doesn't diminish the importance of the time you shared. It simply reflects life's natural ebb and flow. And yet, it's not just others who change. I've changed too. My priorities have shifted, and I no longer have the patience for shallow relationships or unnecessary drama. I value kindness, authenticity, and simplicity above all else. I've come to understand that true relationships are reciprocal. They don't drain you, they fill you. This realization has allowed me to set boundaries and prioritize my well-being without guilt. Of course, there's a bittersweet side to this transformation. Sometimes I feel a pang of nostalgia for the relationships that have faded. A close friend I haven't spoken to in years, or a family member whose life has taken a different path. They're like chapters in a book I've put down but still hold dear. Those memories are precious, shaping who I am today, even if the connections themselves no longer exist. Trust, too, has become more complex with age. I used to trust easily, believing in the inherent goodness of people. But life has a way of teaching hard lessons. Betrayal, disappointment, and broken promises have left their mark, making me more cautious. I've learned to trust my instincts, to recognize red flags, and to walk away from toxic relationships, even if they've been part of my life for years. This caution doesn't come from bitterness. It's born of experience. I've become more selective about who I let into my life, not because I want to shut people out, but because I value my peace and well-being. Trusting someone now feels like a deliberate choice rather than an automatic response. And while this might make it harder to form new connections, it also makes the ones I do form more meaningful. Through all these changes, I found a profound sense of contentment. I no longer feel the need to chase time or fill my days with endless activity. Instead, I savor each moment, appreciating life's quiet joys, a favorite song, a warm breeze, a heartfelt laugh. At 70, I don't want to waste a single moment, not because I fear running out of time, but because I've finally come to understand its true value. Even if you keep your distance, trust remains an intricate thing. Over the years, I've encountered moments that have subtly reignited my faith in humanity. A stranger offering a helping hand when I drop something at the store. A neighbor checking in during stormy weather. These small, unassuming gestures remind me that trust, while fragile and sometimes elusive, is not unattainable. At this stage of life, I've accepted that trust is delicate, a careful balance rather than an all-or-nothing proposition. It's not about erecting walls so impenetrable that no one can climb them. Instead, it's about crafting gates, solid enough to guard against harm, yet open enough to welcome love, kindness, and meaningful connection when the timing feels right. Relationships and trust have become paradoxically simpler and more profound. I deeply value the few people who have truly earned my trust and maintain healthy boundaries with those who haven't. While I may no longer trust as easily or freely as I once did, I cherish the relationships I hold dear all the more. At 70, this feels like a treasure, one worth protecting and savoring. The world now feels like an entirely different place compared to the one I knew growing up. It's not just the pace of life that has shifted, it's the way we connect, or fail to connect, with one another. Sometimes, I can't help but wonder where the warmth and simplicity of human relationships have gone. I grew up in a time when neighbors were like extended family. We knew each other's names, dropped by without notice to share coffee, and offered help before anyone needed to ask. Family gatherings weren't obligations. They were celebrations of genuine love and joy. Those connections felt effortless, rooted in a shared sense of belonging. Today, it often feels like everyone is too preoccupied, chasing something, success, recognition, or simply keeping up with life's relentless demands. Casual visits have become rare. Conversations seem hurried, as though we're all racing against an invisible clock. Even within families, bonds can feel stretched thin, burdened by physical and emotional distances. Technology, for all its conveniences, has played a part in this transformation. I'm grateful for the ability to video call my grandchildren or stay connected through social media. But at the same time, I feel these screens have created barriers as much as they've bridged gaps. There's no replacement for sitting across from someone, hearing the subtle inflections in their voice, and feeling the warmth of their presence. The constant noise of notifications and the endless scroll of news can be overwhelming. It's as if the world has grown louder yet lonelier. There are moments when I simply want to turn everything off, retreating into the quiet of my thoughts. And then there are values, the ones I grew up cherishing: honesty, kindness, and community. These principles haven't vanished entirely, but they seem harder to find in today's climate of self-promotion and unrelenting competition. I often long for the simplicity of the past, not because I resist change, but because I miss the authenticity and depth of connections that didn't require so much effort or explanation. That said, I know nostalgia can cast the past in a softer light. No era is without its challenges. Yet, as the world barrels forward, I find myself pulling back, not out of bitterness, but out of a desire to hold on to what feels real and meaningful. In my younger years, I equated being alone with being lonely. Solitude seemed unbearable, something to avoid at all costs. But now, I've come to appreciate that being alone can be a profound gift, not a punishment. There's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a yearning for connection, an ache that feels unreachable. Solitude, on the other hand, is a quiet contentment, a sense of wholeness in your own company. Some of my happiest moments now come from simply being still, letting the world fade into the background as I savor the present. Solitude has helped me rediscover the beauty of small joys. Watching birds flutter outside my window, feeling the warmth of the sun on a morning walk, sipping tea while listening to the soft crackle of a fire. These seemingly trivial moments fill me with a peace that no crowded room or bustling event could ever provide. This time alone has also given me space to reflect. At 70, memories become both a source of comfort and a wellspring of wisdom. I revisit the past not out of regret, but with gratitude for the experiences that have shaped me. In the stillness of solitude, I've made peace with things that once troubled me. Of course, I still cherish the connections I maintain. I love seeing the joy in my grandchildren's faces, catching up with old friends, and participating in causes that matter. But these connections now feel more intentional and fulfilling because they're chosen, not obligatory. I've also learned the art of saying no. I no longer feel compelled to accept every invitation or maintain relationships that deplete me. Solitude has taught me to value myself in a way no external validation ever could. It's shown me that my worth isn't tied to how busy I am or how many people surround me. Avoiding people isn't about bitterness. It's about peace. After 7 decades of living, loving, and sometimes hurting, I've learned not every relationship deserves to be preserved. Not every connection is worth the energy it takes. For much of my life, I gave freely, my time, energy, and heart, often without expecting anything in return. I thrived on being needed, on showing up for others. But life has taught me, sometimes the hard way, that boundaries are necessary. I've been let down, hurt, and drained by people who took far more than they gave. Now, I choose differently. I avoid people who thrive on drama, who make everything about themselves, or who take my kindness for granted. I seek relationships that nurture rather than deplete. I've traded the noise of superficial interactions for the quiet strength of authenticity, and I've never felt more at peace. The relationships that truly matter in life, the ones with friends and family who have stood by you, not because they needed something but simply because they care, are sacred. These are the connections I treasure deeply, nurturing them with all the love I have left to give. Over the years, I've realized that it's not about the number of people in your circle, but the depth of those relationships. A smaller, closer group is more than enough to bring fulfillment and joy. Interestingly, distancing myself from a wider crowd has made me appreciate people even more. When I choose to spend time with others, it's because I genuinely want to, not out of obligation. Those moments feel richer, more meaningful, and more memorable because they're intentional, not forced. I often wonder if this resonates with others in my age group. Does time naturally make us more selective? Do life's betrayals and disappointments teach us to protect our peace and guard our hearts more carefully? Looking back, I see how much of my younger years were spent chasing the expectations of others, trying to be everything to everyone. I wanted to be the dependable friend, the perfect partner, the supportive family member. But that constant striving was exhausting, and it left little for myself. With time, I learned an important lesson. Protecting my energy and time is not selfish. It's necessary. I've stopped apologizing for needing space to breathe, reflect, and simply be. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, you might find yourself making similar choices. Perhaps you've started distancing yourself from relationships that no longer bring you joy, or stepping away from situations that leave you drained. Maybe you've come to value quality over quantity when it comes to the people in your life. This shift can feel bittersweet, like you're letting go of pieces of yourself. But in truth, this stage of life is about shedding what no longer serves you, creating space for peace and joy, and focusing on the things that truly matter. If this feels familiar, know that you're not alone. There's no guidebook for navigating this phase of life. Some people thrive in large social circles, even in their later years, and that's wonderful for them. But if you find comfort in solitude and deeper, more intimate connections, that's equally valid. At this point in my life, I've embraced the freedom to let go of what no longer aligns with my peace. Prioritizing myself and living on my own terms has been transformative, a kind of liberation I never imagined was possible. Choosing solitude over social obligations isn't about withdrawing. It's about gaining something precious. It's about creating a life that feels authentic, even if it looks different from what others expect. This chapter of life, with all its quiet simplicity and reflection, has taught me that there's incredible beauty in slowing down and savoring the moment. In my younger years, there was always this urgency, a relentless drive to do more, achieve more, and be more. But as I've grown older, I've shifted my focus. Life is no longer about chasing what's out there. It's about appreciating what's right here. The morning light streaming through a window, the laughter of a grandchild, the warmth of a loved one's embrace. These simple moments hold immense value. They anchor me and remind me of what truly matters. At this stage, reflection also becomes a profound practice. Looking back, I see a life filled with triumphs that brought pride, mistakes that taught resilience, and heartbreaks that shaped me in ways I never fully understood at the time. Each moment, no matter how small, has woven the tapestry of my life. But this chapter isn't just about looking back. It's about looking ahead with a quiet excitement, knowing there's still time to create, learn, and grow. What I cherish most about this chapter is the freedom it brings, the freedom to say no to obligations that drain me, to relationships that no longer serve me, and to the pressures of trying to please everyone. By saying no to those things, I've made room for what truly matters: peace, love, and meaningful connections. There's a courage that comes with age, a boldness to live authentically and unapologetically. I no longer feel the need to explain my choices or meet someone else's standards. Instead, I focus on what feels right for me. Gratitude has become my constant companion. Gratitude for the life I've lived, for the lessons learned, and for the simple fact that I'm still here, with more life to explore. This chapter has shown me that life is not about the big milestones, but the small, meaningful moments that make up our days. It's about finding joy in the everyday and celebrating the person I've become. Embracing this chapter means letting go of the past without clinging to it, welcoming the present with open arms, and looking to the future with hope. It's about cherishing the relationships that matter, finding beauty in simplicity, and choosing peace over everything else. If you're navigating similar changes, I hope you see this not as a loss, but as a gain, a chance to live life on your own terms. Life is a journey, and each chapter brings its own unique beauty. This chapter, though quieter, is no less significant. In many ways, it's the most authentic, honest, and peaceful part of the journey. So here's to living fully and unapologetically, one day at a time. If you found inspiration here, let it fuel your next step forward. Life is too precious to live for others' expectations. Embrace what makes your heart light and your spirit free. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I look forward to sharing more reflections with you. Let's support each other as we navigate this path together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more heartfelt content. Take care, and remember, you deserve peace, joy, and authenticity in every moment.